Twilight Sparkle opened the door and walked into her castle. Sighing, she spoke.
Ugh, Spike!
After a while of waiting with no answer, she thought to herself,
where could he be?
She walked a little further inside and took off her tiara. Being a princess was hard work and sure to wear any pony out. She suddenly understood why Princess Celestia had so much more time to talk after Princess Luna returned, lightening the workload. Taking off the rest of her attire, she tried for Spike again.
Spike, where are you? I really need to explain something to you, and I want you to understand.
Earlier in the day, she had accidentally told Rarity that Spike had a crush on her, and that he thought it was love at first sight. Rarity, on the other hoof, had agreed with Twilight and said that even if interspecies relationships worked, it would be too much of a pain on her social life to be in a relationship with a dragon. Twilight sighed, sad from the betrayal of her loyal assistant's trust. She walked through what would have been a maze of hallways had she not been living there for the past few months. Twilight entered her room, exhausted, and flopped down on the bed. When she hit the bed, she was so accustomed to the cold of the past few days that the warmth of the bed enwrapped her like a friend with a blanket. She got cozy under the covers, and her eyes shut, only to snap back open. She hadn't heard a creak. The bed always creaked. It was the one quality she got used to in her castle so fast. So why had it not creaked? She couldn't explain it to herself and got out of bed to try again.
Maybe I just didn't hear it in my frustration and self-pity,
Twilight thought carefully. She then, extra slowly, lied down on the bed. It creaked almost ominously. But she didn't mind. It creaked, and that was all that really mattered. She lied in bed for a little bit, coming up with all the reasons that the bed could have not creaked, and not a single one was logical. She had to sit up, unable to sleep. It had also plagued her mind that her bed was warm when she first entered. Was Spike previously laying there, only to get up and hide at her call? No, perhaps something else was going on. She heard a drip coming from the bathroom, and her head snapped to the door immediately. The door to the bathroom slowly opened with no light on inside.
Spike?
She said, a tinge of fear in her voice.
This really isn't funny.
It is supposed to be.
A ghostly voice whispered in her ear. Twilight's head slowly turned to see the body of Spike, dripping in blood, sitting on her bed. She backed up and fell off the bed. When the face followed, she screamed, and then she awoke. Her body drenched in sweat, she looked around the room.
No ghosts? Check. No dead assistant? Check.
Her mental checklist marked those two off the list.
Find out what's going on? Not checked.
Her mind reminded her that she had to figure out just what exactly was going on. She got up, and to her relief, the bed creaked. Maybe it was all just a dream? She should be so lucky. She got up and heard the dripping again.
I don't want to know,
she told herself, keeping so much focus as to not even look towards the door. When she felt the breath on her shoulders, she ran. She ran until she was down the hall, and Spike came into view again. This time, however, the assistant was not just bloody, but disemboweled. Twilight stopped, holding back vomit and letting free tears. She must have sat there for a good 10 minutes before she realized the gravity of the situation. There was something in her home. This something killed her assistant and was likely going to kill her. She had to think, had to get out of this situation. It was at that moment that all the lights in the room went out. Holding her breath, she barely heard the beast's footsteps. It seemed to be circling the walls of the room. Perhaps it was attracted to sound, or something of the sort. She slowly backed up, and whenever it sounded like the creature had stopped, She did too. Soon the steps sounded like they were coming towards her. Slowly at first, then quicker the steps came. Then suddenly, they stopped.
It sounded close, but maybe just a peek?
Twilight thought. Her horn lit to illuminate a face right in front of hers. It reached out with a claw and stroked her face.
This isn't real. You know it isn't.
The figure spoke softly.
Wake up.
Twilight, this time when she awoke, sprang from bed. It didn't creak as she had recently come to expect, and she ran. She went the other way this time, to the armory. She was fairly certain that she kept something in there. When Twilight arrived, she looked around, but try as she might, there were no weapons. The only thing she had found after searching that side of the house was a kitchen knife. She galloped back to her bedroom and tested the bed. Still no creaking. She did everything in her power to make the bed creak, from the top or sides, but she couldn't. She decided to check. Shakily, even with her magic, she lifted the bed. Under it was a stack of books she had asked Spike to put up, and the little dragon himself. Not bloody or dead, just her little assistant. She smiled and set the knife down on her nightstand. She lifted the dragon in her magic and moved the books aside. She could put them in their proper place later. She took the dragon and carried him down the hall to his own room. Satisfied that he was still asleep, she set him down in his room and closed the door. Twilight then went back to her room, closing the door as she did so. She got into bed, it creaking this time, and she closed her eyes. Slowly, the bed creaked.